Hello from everyone here at Georgia ForestWatch. This is Andrew, Outreach Coordinator. We have a short little video for you today with Executive Director and Forest Ecologist Jess Riddle. Most of the shots you see are in Kelly Ridge in Rabun and Towns counties. They are part of what we are calling Georgia's Mountain Treasures.
Here we have Showy Orcas, which is one of our native orchids. We find it mostly on fairly rich sites in our cove forests and our mountains, so it's somewhat uncommon, but not rare. Here's a tree that got hit by lightning, and as is typical for a lightning strike, the scar goes all the way up the tree. And we can see that in this case, the tree is still alive, but the lightning strike did take out the big branch that it hit directly. So lightning does not snap things. It's not like a big fist. It just produces these streaks, and then it can superheat the water in the tree and cause little bits of it to explode off of. So these are mountain bunch flowers. They're one of the most conspicuous species you'll see in the early spring. Often see them on moist forests, but not necessarily super rich, so not your best wildflower sites, but just where there's kind of decent moisture. Yeah. And one thing to notice about them is the leaves are typically quite pleated, and we got these folds running down them. Yeah. And they'll come in more than twos. So you might confuse them with a ramp. Ramps tend to be less pleated. Ramps will only be in twos. And if you tear one of these leaves, it won't smell like garlic. There is another related species, green hellebore, which will be in really high elevation seep areas and is much larger than this. You might also confuse it with something like a Clinton's lily or a pink lady slipper. Pink lady slipper, again, only in twos, and neither of those species are going to have these conspicuously pleated leaves. So here we've got our mountain bunch flower on the right, also known as false hellebore, and the two on the left are one of the lookalikes we just talked about. These are Clinton's lilies unfolding, and they've got more than two leaves. But we can see there's a little bit of a fold in the middle, but otherwise not very creased, not pleated to nearly the same degree as the mountain bunch flower is. The Clinton's lilies, I'm not sure if it's going to show up on the video, but if we zoom way in, we should be able to see that there are fine hairs all over the edges of the leaves. You can kind of see them on that youngest leaf in the middle there, that kind of raggedy edge to that. We don't see that on our mountain bunch flower. Later in the summer, some of these mountain bunch flowers will send up a tall wand of flowers. The flowers are going to be small, smaller than your fingernail, and they're green, but for being green, they're a surprisingly pretty flower. But most of these individuals we see growing scattered across this hillside won't flower. It's only the occasional one that will flower. So this is a perennial plant that's going to store up its energy for a while before flowering. Here's our pink lady slipper. Not quite blooming yet. So unlike some of the other plants that will have broad and rounded leaves that come directly out of the ground, these are quite hairy. A little hard to see in the video, but if you look along the edge of the leaf, you can see it's totally covered with hairs, and the stalk it's sending up is also quite hairy. Pink lady slipper relies on fungi in the soil to germinate. Like all orchids, it has tiny dust-like seeds, and those seeds have to be colonized by a fungus to survive. And the orchid will get its energy from the fungus, at least for the first part of its life. And the fungi that pink lady slipper is associated with are also specifically associated with pine trees. So you will most often find them around pine trees. And in general, if you don't see a pine tree around, there may have been a pine tree there in the past to help the plant get started.